So when the first drop-off zone, I split it into different drop-off zones. So when everything gets carted, there'll be obviously in a big container ship. So I cited here just because it presents one of the closest areas to the building site and also to deeper water. So the big container ship will arrive and the initial occupants will come through and they'll live in these small self-contained sort of temporary structures made out of these extruded panels, which have two cavities, and they can be filled with either sand or water depending on where the weight is and also transparency. That will be the first stage of the project, and then as the other buildings pop up, the factories, research station and the individual studios, those will be disassembled and moved on and reused. Those panels that were used to make the small temporary structure will now be slotted in to the side of the main structure. All these beams, again, are polycarbonate, and they're all slot into each other. The tent structure over the top is made of polyurethane membrane, which is a breathable, windproof, waterproof membrane. And the technology that I looked at was one that's being developed at the moment by Shola, it's called Sea Change. And all it is pretty much primarily a polyurethane, but as the internal, when there's occupants, they're going to give off heat, and the membrane's going to kind of stretch a bit to let it be more breathable. And then when there's less occupants, then they'll close up to the porous sort of structure. Hasn't been used in buildings, but it definitely has the potential to be used as a membrane structure.
What's the research for? At the moment, it's being used.
It'd be used as the big.
But in its current research.
Clothing. Yeah. But I emailed the guy in Switzerland or something, and he said the main reasons why it's not used for buildings at the moment, maybe because it's not fireproof. But I guess you could maybe add quite a few.
That's not just clothing.
Yep. This structure, the whole idea of it is that it can all be disassembled. They're all modular pieces, about a metre. These pieces here, and the X structure is about close to a metre, but can collapse out of the joint. So essentially, this whole section will be able to be taken apart and assembled by hand. So you don't need any extra tools or anything like that. They're quite light because they're polycarbonate. The heavier panels, they're split in two, so when they're empty and not too much water, at least two people can put it up. And if you want to add water, this is a bit more weight. The lower ones maybe sand. And this sort of structure, I was thinking, could be adapted to fit a few different sort of building shapes and scale. So you can scale it up if you need it bigger, or you can join two or put them next to each other to make them smaller or bigger. For the individual studios, same idea. The studio is situated on the west side, close to the reef, and the big beach behind it, communal space, and then connecting all these spaces with plastic boardwalks just to lift the walking plane off the main environment so it doesn't get trashed too bad. E represents like a composting toilet, so it's away from the main facilities. You do have to walk a bit further, but it just means this composting toilet's quite stinky. And then I've also looked at additional points like ports. This port offers quite a close inlet into the main part of the island where all the buildings are, whereas the other subsequent bigger ports offer protection for larger vessels, like a big container ship can stay there. I forgot to mention before, most of the crate can be dropped off by helicopter. That piece kind of came from a friend of mine who worked down in Antarctica for a year, and that's pretty much what they did. Everything's flat pack, dropped off the helicopters, and then kind of built up from there. The reason why these flaps are pinned out is for structural stability, but also if it's pissing down with rain, then these can all be pulled down to kind of close up the area. In between the gaps, I guess there'll be panels with mesh or a fly screen to stop the mozzies and nasty bugs.
In between the gaps?
In between these big triangles. And, also the reason why they're pitched out during the day, you'll be able to get natural ventilation straight through the building as well. This will be an opaque sort of white membrane, so you're still going to get natural daylighting inside, so you're not using any extra energy and lighting just towards the computers.
Is there any membrane in it horizontal?
Yes. So this will be made up of 3 sections, and they'll all slide in a metre.
No, into this direction.
No, not yet.
So it's just a tension.
Yes.
these things.
I'm not sure. I was
Just
possibly
it's a
thinking
little
adding
bit, it looks very
yeah.
difficult. It looks like it
That's,
it might work, but it's
If there's a tension, if there's something down here,
These will be pulled out
along this axis,
on that axis.
you might. You've got to stop something scissoring this to the ground.
Yeah.
So just basically the big tanks with semi-rigid or
Semi-rigid walls.
For a component system to really work effectively, it has to be flexible. It's implied that this will work really well on a flat surface, which you don't have on the island.
That's the. I mean, this is probably the second part of my scheme would be working on a structural floor that could be elevated off the ground.
So they're the walkways that you
The walkways, yeah,
alluding to.
and they might connect to a big platform.